Good morning, good morning. So today we are going to be talking about sequence of events, which goes along with our theme this week of text structure and how a text is organized. And again, for a lot of you guys, this will be a review, but it's something that we don't always think about, and I want to take time to really think about it and notice the way that authors sequence their stories and how they put things in order very specifically. And then eventually this will transfer to your own writing, and you would specifically sequence your own writing very specifically. But today we're just focusing on the reading side of it, and we're thinking about how authors specifically sequence events. So let's start this here. Okay. So this is a big long chunk of text, but basically it is talking about the meaning of the word sequence. So sequence is the order in which things happen. So what does it mean to follow the sequence of events in a written piece? It means that you're going to follow the order in which things happen. So if I tell you about my morning, I might say, first I woke up and I missed my alarm, so I rushed out of bed, I threw on my clothes. Then I jumped in the car and I dashed to work. I taught 3 classes. After that, I ate lunch. And so those are sequentially in order or chronologically in order of how they occurred. So in that example, I'm telling you everything in chronological order. So that would be the sequence of my morning. So the second bullet talks about if you want to tell someone how to make something or how to do something, you do it in sequence. For example, if you're telling them how to build a birdhouse or how to bake a cake, you're going to do that sequentially or in order or chronologically. So I'm going to use the words sequentially and chronologically interchangeable, but they all go back to in order. The word sequential and chronologically both mean in order. They're told in order. So if you're explaining the sequence of events, you're explaining the series of actions that are done in that certain order that lead to a finished product or an end result, such as the birdhouse or the finished baked cake. You have to tell someone what comes first in the order, then second, then third, then so on, until that process is complete. So you have to say very specifically what to do first, second, third. And applying that to text structure, we are looking at what happened first, what happened second, what happened third. So we are looking at the order of events and what occurred in the story. So for example, let's see, I think my screen cut off a little bit at the top, but that's okay. It says, for example, read these paragraphs. They explain how birds were once used to send and receive information. So, get this out of the way. There we go. Birds have been used to carry news since ancient times. They've also been used to carry notes in times of war. Birds were used in war well into the 1900s. A special type of bird was used. It is called a pigeon. A pigeon can do something special. It can find its way back home, even if it's very far away. This can be very useful in times of war. War pigeons were trained for their jobs at a young age. The baby chicks were born at an army base. They stayed there for 4 weeks. After that, they lived in small bird houses. They were moved every day. Each day, the birds had to fly back to the base. Every day, the houses were moved farther away. Soon, the birds could fly for a long time over many miles. They always came back to the base. Then they were ready to carry notes for the armies. Okay, so those are our 2 sample paragraphs. So looking at your directions, it says, now suppose you're asked to complete this task. So suppose the directions said, put these events from the paragraph in order from first to last. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is kind of have an order in your head. Which one comes first, second, third, fourth. So you can jot this down on a piece of paper and just see 1, 2, 3, 4. Which one do you think comes first, second, third, last? Because on the next slide, I'm going to verify if you're correct or not. So pause this video for practice, because you're going to have to do this as part of the quiz. So I promise it will be in your benefit. Pause this video and practice. And then rank these 1, 2, 3, 4, or 3, 2, 4, 1, or 4, 2, 1, 3, whatever you think they are, and rank them from first to last. Which one came first, second, third, and fourth. And then on the next slide, I will show you the answer. So I'm going to give you a couple of seconds. Pause this video, rank them. When you're finished, come back and push play. All right, welcome back. So if you are hearing my voice, you should have already ranked these and have some sort of idea of what you think happened first, second, third, and fourth. So I'm going to go ahead and click over to the next slide and give you the answers. Move this out of the way. Here we go. So this is what you should have had: 3, 2, 4, and 1. And you can see the order and sequence in the actual paragraph. So if you read through it again, you can see exactly the order in which they occurred. So if you got anything different, you can see where they got their answers from. And if you have any questions on this, or if it's confusing, please come see me and I'm happy to help you. That's the beauty of FLT. You can hear me teach, but then also if you have any questions, I'm available. So you can come ask me anything you need help with. Moving right along. Use transitions as your guide. So remember that, first of all, we've been working on transitions all year long, and this is why, because they're so important in every single genre of writing, from the narratives we've been working on, to the myths, to the argumentative essays, everything we've done, transitions have been so important. So that doesn't stop now. Remember that transitions can signal or give you a hint about the sequence of events. In this case, they also create coherence, as we've talked about in the past, but in this case, they're really giving us a clue as to when we're switching sequence and when we're switching time. So some words, such as after, then, and once, show how things happen. For example, we're going to look at this paragraph below, and I actually did it in my example earlier, just as kind of a point too. But it says they stayed there for 4 weeks. After that, they lived in small bird houses. They always came back to the base. Then they were ready to carry notes for the animals. So after and then let us know that those happened. After, and again, then after that. So it lets us know that they happened after the thing before it. So transitions are very, very important. So just make sure to pay attention to those. And everybody should have a transition list in your notebook. If you don't have that, come see me, because I have tons and tons of resources for you if you would like to review those. So, but just make sure that you're paying attention to transitions to help you with your sequencing. All right, so last thing, so this is a pretty short presentation compared to the other ones. Be careful of your flashbacks. So the one thing in terms of order and sequence, 90% of the time, I would say, the book is written, or especially if it's a short story, is written in order. Novels, not so much, but usually short stories are written sequentially, chronologically. They're written in order of what's happening. You just read it from top to bottom and everything is in the right order. But sometimes the author uses things like flashbacks to flashback to something that happened before, so it's not present day anymore. And so that kind of changes the sequence of how it happened in the character's life. So I just want to make sure that we talk about that a little and acknowledge it, and just make sure that we think about, so what if it's not written sequentially? Then what does that mean? Well, then it just boils down to what the question is asking you. Are they asking you the order it occurred in the text, or are they asking you the order it occurred in the character's life? Because those are two different questions, and that depends on the flashback. So we're getting deep here. Okay, so up until this point, it's just been in order. It's been very easy. It's been a review. But in this case, it's if we're looking at flashbacks, it really depends on the question. So I think the example will help make sense of that. So considering the prologue of Tangerine, we've all read Tangerine. Not the whole book, but we've all read the prologue. It's the first 4 pages. And so here are some events that happen in chronological order. So I started from page 1 and went to page 4. So they happen in order in the book. So the first thing that happened is that Paul took the last bag of garbage from the empty house, and Mom took one last look around. So he's taking the bag out, Mom's taking the last look around. That's the first thing that happened. Then Paul has a flashback about getting chased down by someone in a car with a baseball bat. Then Paul's mom asked him about a cigarette butt that she found on the ground. Hey, you know anything about this? And he's like, good job, Mom. And then lastly, they pulled out of the driveway and they left for Florida. So all of these things happen in chronological order in the book. However, so if the question were to say in chronological order in the book, how did these things happen? That is correct. But if the question were to ask you in Paul's life, so put these in chronological order as they happened in Paul's life, then what would the order be? So think about that for 1 second. So I'm hoping you would just reverse 1 and 2, right? So Paul obviously got chased down by someone in a car with a baseball bat at an early age. So that's the first thing that happened to him in his life. Then he takes the bag of garbage from the empty house. Then she asks him about the cigarette butt, and then they pull out of the driveway and leave for Florida. So that would be the order that they happened in his lifetime. So again, it just boils down to what the question is asking you. So just make sure to pay attention when flashbacks are involved. Are they asking chronologically in the story, or are they asking in terms of what happened first in the character's life? So just pay attention to that. Again, it's kind of a deep dive, but I just wanted to make sure that we're aware and that we're thinking about it. So that is all for the lesson today. Your quiz is going to look a little bit different today. It's going to be a series of draw its. So you're going to read a passage and then number sequentially 1, 2, 3, 4 the events that happen. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. And good luck. Thanks, guys.